Can you taste that? Yeah, they changed their logo. Yeah, the coffee's gone off because of the kerning. They're not going to do that. Like it's not how it works. All right, so I'm sure the question on everyone's lips at the moment is what is a sprint? More specifically, what is a brand sprint, which is what we're going to be covering today. I've got a rough structure, but it's going to be unscripted, but we are going to go through it. Roughly going to start with the origin of at least where it came onto my radar. We'll go through some design Twitter. We'll look at some sprint agencies, every single one I can find that's credible. We'll look at some offers, maybe some ICP stuff, a bit of alignment. I'll go off on some tangents, I'm sure. A little bit of design Twitter, maybe some of the philosophy behind what sprinting is and why it's of value. So if you're up for that, this video is going to be about that. Okay, so jumping into it. So for me, the first time I ever heard of a sprint in a creative design environment was this book. It's a book written by Jake Knapp. I think mostly in the design software side of things. So a lot of like product building on the digital side of things. Now he mapped it out. We'll just use this little ref here. So day one, you would kind of map out about like a feature you want to test or an idea or a new thing. You'd use Sketch or you'd sketch it up. And then you decide and then prototype it and then test it. So kind of ship it. Maybe that would be to an A/B split test, or maybe that would be to a small section, or maybe that would just be internally, whatever. It was the idea to be able to move faster, move really, really fast. It's great. I think that is how most, if you've ever worked in a software company or worked with anything SaaS or any kind of developer, this is generally how they work if they've had experience in this, because it is the benchmark, I'd say. It really, really helps. So in my life, so I'm a lot more like design, branding background than freelance brand consultant, and now co-founder of an agency, Sprint Department, which is a sprint agency, and that's the last time I'll plug it. But for me, when sprinting, it was back in maybe like 2016, 17. That was mostly like heavy agency times. I was contracting into agencies, and we do like day sprints. So say you're working on a project and there's 4 designers in a little pod. You would go off, have the brief. You'd all go off and be like, what about this? What about this? You'd all come up with 4 different routes. Monday, Tuesday, and you'd review at the end of the day, but still keep working on them. If you had a creative director, or if there was a MD or something like that in the room, probably creative director or head of creative, but mostly CD. And then you go off again, do it, then come back. You'd choose the best one, and then you would all kind of leave your routes, and everyone would pile on the same route, and you'd all work as a team to iterate it in, and then probably get it ready for a meeting Thursday, Friday. Pretty rapid, that kind of thing, especially if you're freelance or contracted in, because well, it's expensive to have 4 freelancers in the room that are working, or seniors. So that's sort of where sprinting landed on my desk. And then, unless you've been living under a rock for however long, you would have read or seen the Smith-Dickson guys. So Trust the Process article, which is a beautiful article. I think this was like the turning point. Now, obviously, these guys, I believe, did the Perplexity branding. That probably didn't take 10 days, to be honest. But maybe it was broken up into maybe milestones or sections. You know, you do discovery, then you do initial ideas, then maybe develop that. You know, I think there's probably a structure milestone-based situation to how they work anyway. Let's say if you're not, let's not talk about SaaS for a bit. If you're a restaurant and you need a logo, like you don't really need to spend more than 5 days on it, because, you know, especially if you get an agency like this in, you'll have a good level of craft and you can crack on. A lot of people are talking about craft being kind of lost, but at the same time, it's not about craft, like the singular thing. It's about crafting, which is about iterating. So you're going to craft it over time. It's about crafting the narrative and crafting the story. But to get going, you need to have a great product. And especially if you're like if you're a mom and pop business or whatever, like it's not about the logo. That's not why they're in the room. And then if you are a SaaS, branding doesn't really matter. You need a little bit of sector aesthetic. Like this goes back down to talking about like ICP, what you're solving for. Like essentially you should just be, if it's like early seed round, or if it's like startup or bootstrap, all they are trying to do is look credible, look established, so that people basically use the product or sign up, or they book a call, or they get a demo, or there's some way that they get in front of the product. They need to have basically it's a product that solves a little for a small set of people. They found a problem they need to solve, and they're basically promising to solve that at scale. Branding, in my opinion, is just promise fulfillment at scale. So you don't need to worry about anything branding related, just a bit of sector aesthetic and crack on, because it's going to be, you're going to pivot so much. Like if you have actually really built anything, you're going to pivot, you're going to change. Like you're going to, the offer's going to evolve. Like you don't want to waste money on that kind of stuff. Like your burn rate needs to be only about sales, really. And anyone who tells you different, I don't know, maybe hasn't got the experience, or maybe what they're trying to do, no disrespect, they're trying to take an offer that would work great for a restaurant or for a coffee brand and ping it across the whole industry, which is just not going to happen. So I would say a good time for branding to kick in is like Series A. That's my favorite spot, right before the teams come in. So you've got, it's still founder led. It's about maybe 2.5, 3 years old. You're building out a team. Maybe they haven't got a VP, maybe they haven't got an MD, but maybe they have got like a designer, or maybe they're starting to do freelance. Design is starting to become a performance metric that they care about. It used to, they can't just be optimizing stuff. They're starting to maybe want to tell stories visually, or align, like click to close, make it kind of visually feel. Maybe there's a visual verbal coming in there. It's to start when you can really start to enrich the thing and start to play with it. And there's also a bit of money because Series A, it's like the right time to bring it in. A lot of people will change their logo around Series A. Some of our biggest clients are Series A, Series B now, maybe probably. But yeah, that's a good place because there's a bit of money in the room anyway. But you will have to have a different kind of sprint. You can't just have the same sprint for the same problem you're solving. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. So these guys were really good at sprinting. They sort of did the benchmark. And then it's an honorable mention. There is this thing on Miro. So I think you can get like a sprint workshop if you want to have a look at it. So these guys, what were they called? I think they're called, is it Agency in the Wild? Couple of guys, let's give them an honorary mention. Do they have their faces? Is there an introduction? Come on, let's go. There we go. Okay, so these guys, Stu Amos and Simon Vieira. So those two did this video. I think they got it bought by Miro, they partnered by Miro, whatever. Where they just do like a really quick workshop over 3 hours, I think, which is a real, we do a workshop too. It's a really good thing. I don't know if this structure actually is helpful entirely. So 20-year roadmap is insane I'd say for anything. 20-year, you're going straight to vision and values then. I mean, that's a very senior company if you're doing 20-year. I would do 90 days, I would do 6 months, and I would do 12 months and then work from that. You can have values, but 20 years, are you joking? That's not quite half my life. So they've got the Simon Sinek circles in there. Now, the problem with that is that they only really kick in at like Series A, Series B when it's about leadership. You have to govern an idea at scale. You're starting to bring in that vision thing because you're starting to build a culture, and it needs to, you've got systems and SOPs, and you've got C-suites, or you've got some kind of managers and directors that are starting to tell the story on your behalf. Therefore, you need to govern an idea at scale, and you need to start to weave that story. But to be honest, I'd say behind every why is a who, and that who is you. And you need to make some cash. So if you just have a why to make some money, that's a fine purpose and reason to start a business. Wouldn't worry about it. Values are fine. Audience is great. I would really hone in on the ICP and where does your audience hang out? What are they doing? What's the language they talk about? What do they need? I would do all that stuff. Personally, personality slides can fuck off. I hate them to bits. When have you ever done anything that's 10% optimistic, 30% exciting, 50% passive aggressive, and 5% lame? Does that enter up to 100%? Probably not. Yeah, instead I would just change this out, take this all out. If you do this currently in your brand thing, get rid of it. Just write behavior. Well, how do we show up? How do we behave online? How do we show up on the internet? Do we show up optimistically? Do we show up and are we constantly do we iterate in public? Are we building people up? Are we always talking about legacy models and how finding gaps in them? Are we taking on a big whale? Are we disrupting this? Are we trying to build a new category? So we're talking about very future, how you behave online or how you show up in content is way easier and way more applicable than personality slide. Weird. And then landscape audit. It's great. Anyway, these are good. I think they're, again, trying to do, this is really important. They're trying to do a workshop, which is really great. But like, if it's a bootstrap founder, like they don't need any of this. Like it's fun. Don't get me wrong. Good laugh. Workshops are good. You might come away with that like warm fuzzy feeling, but essentially, has it moved the needle? Seth going in, you're working on the business or in the business, like you need to be just outreaching, sales. Like if you're listening to this because you are building or are interested in a sprint agency, every single day you are talking to founders and talking to people, sending a little bit of a mood board, sending a this. We have a whole like slightly, we do like a little 90-minute kind of audit for free to get in the room, to stand out. Like these kind of things are all you should be caring about, not these workshops. Anyway, but if you have a product and you have a workshop built in, make sure it's about like the problems you're really solving for the right customer and the right ICP. Okay, that was a bit of a waffle. So after that, the next thing I heard was obviously the prompting goat, which would be Brett from Design Joy. Now, I know he is recently doing this 7 form, which I'm assuming is going to be a week brand sprint thing, but maybe it's a 7-week subscription thing. I don't know. It's cool visuals, AI powered, AI augmented, very nice. I mean, future of it, I think people have had AI in their workflows for a bit, but I mean, you gotta sell it. It's nice. He's got the beautiful distribution solved, so he can iterate in public, and it's great. So let's jump away from that and jump into his thing. So he was subscription based. So I think you had sprints and you had subscriptions. They were the big buzzy things a couple of years ago. Maybe last year was its peak. And because I've got this small format to fit in this window, you get to see everyone's websites slightly at that break before device and website. So we'll see what happens here. Now, obviously, this is not what I do. We don't do a subscription. We don't offer a subscription. So I don't know or have any experience in that. So I'm not going to comment. He seems to be the goat on that, so you can ask him about it. But subscriptions, the thing they have is transparent pricing, which I think is good. The one thing is having your pricing up front when you're doing this kind of things, because if you're working with people with your biggest, as a service business, especially if you're like an underdog or you're coming into a new market, you want to de-risk everything possible in your offer. So maybe if you have to do guarantees, it gets tricky then. But yeah, just upfront stuff, loads of case studies, loads of stuff, loads of recent work, loads of proof, loads of clout, blah, 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 blah. You know the crack. So yeah, he subscription and sprints are where it breaks off. But because I've, honorable mention, because I think he might be moving into sprints now, which is good. It's good. Competition is good for business. It keeps everyone hungry. It's worth mentioning off menu, Hunter Hammond. They've got, again, distribution. These guys are slick, lovely product stuff. Now, this is where we want to talk about like design and what design means. So these guys are a lot more product design and a lot more web design. These guys are probably like Framer experts, Framer natives, and then maybe design from an identity, branding, strategy, storytelling point of view is maybe not bolted on in a bad way, but that's maybe where they've kind of iterated into or added onto the package. But I think these guys, just judging by their skill, taste, how seamless all of this stuff is, these guys are like Framer guys who can build it out, which is great because you can execute. If you need a website, you can get a website. If you need stuff, you can get stuff. And as you can clearly tell, they're doing very successful. Again, transparency, pricing's good, loads of case studies. I think they've got, so Hill Bloom, I think, is an investor. They're, the website's showing what they can do, very web orientated. Great. I don't know if they do sprints. I pop these guys in because I think what's important is that they have a lot of their stuff. Yeah, here you go. They have the retainer subscription thing again. But as you can see, everybody, having your prices on your website is good moving forward. So next, I would say after that, so the Namya, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Superfast, which I think might be off the back of the Figma guy, who was like, Superfast, that guy with the long hair. He looks a little bit like that other founder guy who has an emoji as his profile picture that's doing mad shit. So her or their website, this as a sprint is like great. I think this actually, I don't want to say it's my favorite website, but I imagine, they're promising converting websites. Like they have everything you need to, like their website is like fucking dialed. Look at that. They're following their own playbook, which is great. This is interesting. Record time, all of this stuff. I would worry that you aren't an expert at all of those things. I would worry if it's broken into tiers, do you have separate ICPs? But you seem to be very successful, so I'm sure you're working it out. Again, yeah, lovely. Again, subscription based. So these guys, the reason why I want to talk, yeah, it's great. They say ROI. By the way, don't just sell design, talk about the benefits. Like, don't sell the service, don't sell the features. Like, you want to have your process dialed, really good to explain it. But you want to talk about the ROI. Like, you want to have to say like what's ours? Better than agency, faster than in-house, and cheaper than wasting time. Sorry, should have memorized my shit more. Yeah, we're better than your agency because our reputation's on the line. Faster than in-house because you guys are stuck on the day-to-day, and we're cheaper than wasting time because you only have to look around and see how fast the industry is moving. Is kind of the script, I'd say. So leveraging that bit of ROI and what you get is really good. Anyway, so their roadmap of sprints is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So again, they're doing a full build. So they're like, they're probably hosting it, Framer, all the rest of it. Looks like they're doing like a little positioning audit. Looks like they're doing, logo brand guide. Wow, that's a lot in there. Hopefully that's like bare bones guidelines. Yes, design copywriting. Interesting. Feedback iterations. So then I guess they got to code it and shit. So they're actually doing full integration. It's not my area of expertise. I don't build that. It's not my area, so I can't comment. I would say that's a tall order to get in. I would say that some of this stuff, like the actual storytelling, probably suffers, and it is probably a lot more like brand aesthetic, sector aesthetic, get moving, which is great. If they're promising like full tone of voice guidance and all that shit, I don't know. I hope this is just converting copywriting like not good SEO rather than storytelling, because otherwise wow, who knows? Hey, who knows? Yeah, so really good. Again, these guys have the one-offs, which is great. Retainer. They don't show prices, but they seem to be successful. So maybe it scares their current ICP off. So who knows? Really cool. Next one. So Primary, I think, is really good. I think the founder of this Primary might have blocked me on Twitter, which is a shame. Not really sure why, but maybe it was because I guess we're a competitor. But I think this guy maybe ex-Pentagram, maybe still at Pentagram, maybe, I don't know, not. But these guys did Lovable. Hold on, let me refresh this page. Bingo. So they did the second rebrand of Lovable, so it's always good to do it. It's always good to do an upgrade. Maybe they did the first one, I don't know. But when you're doing, so they would have probably done a brand push or a brand, we would call it a brand push. But when you're doing, this is a prime example of something that is achievable within 10 days as an asset. So say you've got a focus or a push. I'll talk in our language of our offers because it makes sense. I've thought a lot about them. So again, we have the same rails, but we have 3 different sprints that fit 3 different like where your activation points of an ICP. So if it's a focus, that's generally for like a bigger brand who may be around Series A, is really happy with it, they just need to tighten it up. So maybe Lovable could be classed in that. You've got the gradient, but you need to tune it. You've got the type, but can you like slightly ding it? Well, this is working. Maybe our content's a bit crap. How can we make that fit that a little bit better? So you're focusing in the assets, consolidating the stuff so it can actually start to be repeatable and can scale and can be governed on an idea at scale, happen when you're not in the room, that kind of stuff. A push, maybe this is a push. Maybe they don't have this breakdown, but then this push would basically essentially allow them like, okay, we've got this gradient, we've got this heart. How can we build it? What does it look like in 3D? What does it look like when we do this? How do we show up here? How do we show it there? Blah, 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 blah. But this isn't is a brand new. So this isn't like, okay, we've got this thing, let's go. If you remember their old branding, it was like a quick gradient, really fast. They had a good name and then they had a website. So that, again, would have been achievable in a 10-day sprint. So maybe these guys were involved, I don't know. But it's all about where they're at, what the activation point is, where they come into your ecosystem and what they need. Try not to mess about with anything else. Otherwise, it shows your lack of experience, I think, if you are like doing things that aren't necessary. Also, it makes them be like, why do I need that? Like if you give them a whole tone of voice brand guideline, but they've not got a copywriter and they're only bootstrapping, they're like, like it is really important but at the wrong stage, therefore it's irrelevant, which means it's a waste of time and money. So like building out okay, so I did the branding for make.com, but we had to keep the mark. They had equity in the mark, so we couldn't change the mark, but we had to build the ecosystem around it so they could explain their product. They had a onboarding problem. They had it's called value gap. So people were like getting the excitement of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and then signing up and being a bit overwhelmed with the software because there wasn't that discovery phase, educational aspect. There was a little bit of a gap between that. Wasn't happening in the branding, so we had to build that out. So the branding had to, when they were telling things, it had to be a lot more demo-like, but from a identity system. That was 90 days out of 4 months of consulting, 4 or 5 months, yeah, 4 or 5 months of consulting. But it was broken down to sprints. Sometimes there was gaps. There was always clearly defined deliverables, which you can do, but ultimately that is just you're a consultant on that job, and it's pretty bespoke. So if you're doing that, completely fine. But do you put that on your website? I've done lots and lots of. I've built a lot of brands. I've worked on a lot of things. I've done loads, but do I want to show that work? Like when Josh and I, my co-founder, were choosing the work, we wanted to make sure we were choosing work that we'd actually ran on the rails of the business. Otherwise, it's just a bit difficult because you can look at something and be like, okay, so what was done in 10 days? Like you need to show what's achievable. Like we do, we explain it that we do show make, but we explain that it began as a little job and then it just iterated on. Anyway, so yeah, Primary's great, Lovable's great. Prime example of a push sprint or something that could be achievable with 10 days. Maybe they had a bit of a top up of consulting. Maybe they had enough cash now that they could do 10 days to get it operational. Maybe then there's a back and forth. Maybe let the dev team play with it or let the design team play with it, and then maybe they needed some guidelines after that kind of thing. I'd be interested to know how that panned out. Primary, if you're listening, let me know. Okay, so what's this girl's name? Something like bad but funny. Tech Bimbo. There we go. What's the chick? Jamie Gannon. So she does brand sprints. She got brand-sprints.com, which is pretty good. Born for March 1st. Just a random date, like it. So she does brand sprints. So she, I think, is one of those, maybe she lives in that startup, early seed, get operational, get buy-in, that investor deck thing, which I think is great. Like currently, my co-founder's doing a job, like a little small FMCG job that is really cool that we just couldn't say no to, but didn't have scope or didn't need us both to absolutely crush it. So he's crushing it. And it's a cool job. Like, say yes to these things if you can. It's lovely. But these are like really clear deliverables. They're probably, it looks like she lives in Williamsburg and it's US NYC clients, probably more money. I don't know, but maybe they're $5,000 a job. Maybe they're in that 4 to 8K USD area. Depends what she does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Problem. She also does a lot of content, so that's nice. Maybe I think I've seen one of her videos where she talks about this stuff. So I think maybe she's gaming more on maybe helping other designers design, which is cool. So maybe there's a play there, and maybe I think she sells templates as well on the side, which is cool. Other hustle. Maybe that's a bit confusing for your ICP, but I don't know how long she's been going, so who knows. Oh yeah, she might be the female version of what's this, Oren Meets World, which is, he's leveraging attention extremely well. So I guess if she's following that playbook, then ace. But yeah, so I guess in terms of her, also look at her product. Light Sprint, Full Sprint, nice. Yeah, so Light Sprint, you see, for anyone watching, founders who need branding yesterday. Great, pre-seed, knows her ICP, knows what she's doing, in. No prices. I'll probably put prices on there to help with credibility, maybe a few testimonials. We have our testimonials in our case studies rather than on the website at the moment, just because we're not web designers. Full Sprint, for founders who have clear vision, high standards built, for those who co-create one-of-kind brands that stand out. Cool. I would maybe put in founder-led brands, Series A, looking to scale. I'd use that same language over here. I think that'd be cool, because if you're kind of signaling that you know what you're talking about over here, you could probably signal over here maybe, and that would probably, if that had a higher ticket, you could probably position that or anchor it as the big one, and then most people are going to go for that one. Whatever. Anyway, cool. So what we're going to move on to now? Let me just check my notes. So we've done a lot of ICP tour. Yeah. Oleg. So Oleg sent this tweeted, posted, whatever the fuck you say, this message about like lots of people are sprinting. So I've noticed Plasma recently started offering sprint design services, especially for logo branding in space. But I can't help thinking, what about craft? Good question to ask. Unique symbol, yeah. So again, I think I actually got in the fucking comments here. I like Oleg. He's doing cool stuff. I think he first came on my attention when he was doing logo design stuff, like SaaS startup stuff. I think now he's expanded into doing like kind of go-to-market seed stuff, which is cool. So investor deck, get buy-in, great ICP. I think because he's got most of that stuff on his portfolio anyway, so that'll be really good to scale that out. I think maybe he is doing brand sprints too, or maybe a subscription. I wouldn't do the subscription, mate. If I was honest, I'd kill that. But I think the other stuff's good. I'll just iterate on that for a year, see where you get. So go back to craft. So as I've mentioned before, craft is important, but craft is also about crafting the mark. I would always make it a verb. So crafting, which would mean iterating, and it's about crafting it in public over time or when the need is required. Like, yes, craft is amazing, but getting somebody behind closed doors, a gatekeep, to go off and make it with a really high ticket price slows everything down. We live in a world where crafting happens in public now, over time, drawn out, rather than before. Like, it's not a in advance thing, it's an in real time thing. In real time is the future of everything. It's you want to be able to do it like that, or get it and then iterate. Anyway, what was I saying in the comments? Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Here's me chatting nonsense. So yeah, down to your offer again. Yeah, if you're doing SaaS, if it's at the start at the beginning, it just needs sector aesthetics only. So they just need to look credible. They just need to look established. They don't need any strategy. If you're being sold strategy, if you listen to this and you're on the other side, product side, if anyone's selling that kind of shit, they don't know what they're talking about. Pivot's going to happen. Iteration only. Yeah, don't craft anything until you found product market fit. Anyway. Moving on. So a few honorable mentions now. Actually, I'll briefly linger on that. So if you've been around back in the day, we would always show in these design decks when we were pitching money. It was always good to say, draw a triangle, and it's good, fast, cheap. You can only have two. So if you want things good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. If you want things fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. If you want things good and cheap, it's not going to be fast, because you're going to do mates rates, whatever. So if it's going to be fast and good, it's no longer going to be cheap. That is if it's going to be fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. Great. Sorry. So cheap, it is important to understand what cheap is, because cheap is relevant. A billionaire would find a Rolex watch cheap. Do you know what I mean? Someone paying rent in Williamsburg would find someone paying rent in Alaska, Canada, probably cheap. Actually, no, Canadian rent's quite expensive. Whatever, you know what I mean? So cheap is relative. I would say good and fast is relative too, but I want to talk about speed and quality. I'm going to do this as streamlined as possible. But for instance, speed and quality are now both obtainable within reason. Especially we live in the software world. I think when it was mostly we were stuck with labor of humans and people who had to, work 8-hour days, have dinner, see their family, go to sleep at night, that kind of thing. Then this triangle applied. It still does apply to a degree at a more like top level, but speed and quality now can be achieved. But the thing about quality is, yes, you can be like efficient, but are you effective? And that comes down to what's the problem you're solving. Like cheapness might be a factor because they don't see a logo as very important for their business because of where they are at in their stage of growth. If you fuck about with if you fuck about with Spotify's logo casually on the fly, like the equity in the mark, the stability of that, how it is across scale, all the backlinks, all of the images, all of the random shit on every Pinterest board or whatever everywhere. Like that's a lot of waste, probably billions at stake. So they're not going to fuck around with the logo. But for instance, if they're a coffee company and they change the logo every now and again, like no one's going to suddenly be like, oh no, can you taste that? Yeah, they changed their logo. Yeah, the coffee's gone off because of the kerning. They're not going to do that. Like it's not how it works. So being effective means that you're being effective at solving the problem. If they need to get credible, then you're effective at solving that in the time frame. If they just need to, so we position. So at Spring Department, we are essentially the bolt-on creative department of the agency, or the business, sorry. So at Series A, they probably haven't got a team yet. They probably have got a little bit of leadership, founder-led, and maybe they've got MD, maybe they've got some product marketing people, but maybe they haven't got a full design team yet. So they want to do more stuff. They want to tell more stories. They want to enrich that pipeline visually and verbally and build out that identity. But they probably want to do it a little bit. They probably want to test it. We're big on testing. We're not, we don't come in and just pull something out of our ass and be like, oh, this is it. We know best. We want to explain that we want to iterate and we want to build. So we want to get operational, get that idea out, define the deliverables. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in 90 days and how can we put you on that path? Classic discovery, where are you? What do you want to get to and what's in the way? If they're just saying like, I want a logo, then it's like, well, why? What are you trying to achieve? So you have to maybe understand your ICP a little bit better to make sure that you're being effective. And then it won't be cheap, but you can be fast and good because you can have the robots, or you can have processes, or you can have manpower, or you can build systems or templates around it. So there is a way to do it. Okay, with that over, a few honorable mentions just because of design Twitter. So Alex Sokolov, I believe he does brand sprints. I'm going to tag you all on Twitter and see if we can all have a conversation about this. I think he maybe, yes, he does all this stuff. So this is cool. I wonder, this is great engagement. Look at that, 13K. I wonder how many people look at this PDF on the other side, the client side. I think you could condense all of this down into a one-pager, like a lean one-page. That could be a good like positioning thing, just to do like a one-pager thing done for you really quickly. All you need is your hex colors or whatever. You could even do a digital version as well, so you could drop it into their Figma, or like maybe it's like an ASE color palette thing, or maybe it's hyperlinked. That'd be interesting, like a deck that links to all the assets. And interesting. Anyway, I'll do all this as page one. They don't need to have this fucking story personally, because it's all going to change before it matters. That's just me. Oh, very nice. What is this? Yeah, I think he does brand sprints. Yeah, brand identity, fintech. Yeah, done. I wonder how long his timelines are. I think he's probably just He's probably just him. Is it freelance? Is he an agency? Don't know. Cool work. Nice stuff. Cool design. Yeah, doing lots of stuff. Fun. Next guy, Ahmed create. Now he has Unleash. I believe he does do brand sprint. Again, same this 80 page. Just because it's 80 pages doesn't mean it's valuable. Maybe I commented on this saying, could you do it in 12? Did I do that? Poor, not sure. Oh, that looked like my face. No. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, cut it out. Just, you don't need any of it. You don't need any of it at all. I would say no one's going to read that. And also, you want to be able to ping it. So if you're working with like third-party vendors and stuff, you want something that's shareable. Trust me, I've written a lot of guidelines in my time. Before, I've been doing this for 15 years. My first job was writing, it's the thing in the UK called the BSI, which is the British Standards Institute. It was a year and a half of my life, hundreds of pages. Did anyone read it? I don't know. I mean, it was a great thing to cut my teeth on, but oh Jesus, mental. But no one reads it because it's just overwhelming. Like, you want to have a jump to thing, try and condense it under 12 pages if you can. And now if the client wants it, fine, you can explain to it. But I would split it out into documents then. So I'd have like a operational one, and I'd have a best practices, and then I'd have a third party. If you want to sell all this because it helps you float the offer, then like, for instance, you've got all these things down here, right, which are like in situ. So that could be best practices. Cut all that out, make it a little pup, You got a color and identity, core assets should be one fucking page, easy. And just sell it in, explain it to them. Photography, one page. And then maybe if you want to have an all-encompassing one, it's no extra work, right? You just export that bit, export that bit, export that bit. Might have to fill around your masters a little bit, but that's it. And maybe that would improve your deliverability, and also maybe improve your you can share it. Who knows? Anyway, that's me thinking out loud. Did I cook? Who knows? Yeah, we covered Jamie. Yeah, we did that. Unleash. Sorry, that was what What's His Chops has, which is a cool little situation. A&M Studios. I just saw this one. I think they again. Oh, stock image. They do little quick stuff, little fun jobs. I wonder if because they do lots of different things. So they're like FMCG, ecom, digital, print. No one put that billboard on. Don't do billboards if they're not going to be real billboards. Do a fake billboard in a post on a LinkedIn campaign, maybe. I don't know, but like, I haven't done the billboard in years. Like I've had work go on a billboard properly, but like, I don't know. It's credible, but it has like a reverse effect. Maybe I'm beyond the candelabra. These guys, cool. They talk about we move really fast. Clear deliverables, 10K, done. Really nice. Good. Oh yeah, a few honorable mentions. This website is delicious. These guys are great. So they have brand sprint, brand scale, which is really cool. This little fucking situation, really lovely work, really nice. Again, I think these are quite boutique, so maybe they actually are in that weird thing where they work with people who maybe are bootstrapping or early, but they've got money. So again, maybe it's a second stage founder, or maybe they're just doing these lovely little projects as one-offs. They've got really nice little brand sprint situation. Very nice. They've made the literal guy feel like it works quite well. 10 days, yeah, great. Clear vision, key values. I would kill that. Don't think you need it personally. Brand strategy. Brand system, yeah, you want all that. Maybe I would put that out as consulting or a separate package, marketing package, or do it as a best practice but not deliverables. Maybe brand story. Do you have it now? They're on the brand story. Well, I can't write a story before they fucking have it. I would change that personally. 10 day, but the website's lovely and everything else is great. Oh yeah, nice. Oh yeah, nice. Very good. Yeah. Oh, 11 handover, nice. 11 handover. But what if you start the new project on the Monday? Sure. 7 spots per year. That's it. Oh, nice. Very cool. Makes it easier to sell. What if you take on a project that's bigger? Anyway, the wonders of an offer, eh? And Haptic. Oh, yeah, lovely website. This. They do really cool shit. Do their pricing? Yeah. So they do. I think these again are more product dev. Subscription, fast turnaround, sprint, 10K. Ooh, 10K. That's high. That's with what the pound's doing in the old stock market at the moment. That's probably gonna, as your entry level. Oh no, so they put the middle one there as a yeah, that's about 10 grand USD, maybe 9.5. 2 weeks to deliver a product, feature, brand, landing page. Yeah, I think that's about right. And especially they clearly got a lovely website, so they hopefully position themselves in. Yeah, they've got that. I think they can have that experience price tag, which is nice. And this website is fucking delicious, let's be honest. So props to those guys. And what we got left? Oh, and yeah, and Grant, I just saw these guys. Quite nice. What I like about this website is not the colors, unfortunately, but they do break it all down. You can probably do less type here. No one's going to read that. Skim it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 is nice. You're a little bit process here because we did the same thing on our website. You notice our process, we just got rid of it. But it's full branding identity. I would clean this up a little bit, but it's nice that you're doing it. You clearly got a lot of work. It's fun. I would be interested to know how many people had that price tag and how much of this is just what you've done. Because like Noctua Bakery, are they dropping that? Don't know. Are they dropping that? Don't know. I reckon 4 grand, 3, 4 grand, 4 grand. Now I don't know how many of these would have gone through it on the rails personally. Don't know. Fine to have it, but I just would specify because it's just, yeah. I would love to put all the work in my fucking 3 portfolios on it. But we started a new venture. We're building together. It's got to be stuff that's gone through the fucking thing. Otherwise, what are you doing? Personally, a bit about process. Let me see if I can bring in our little process here. Let's get rid of that. I've cut this so it fits on the page. Yeah, so we send a little sweat the detail thing. We've taken it off our website because we've realized there's like 4 buying personas: people who want to know reviews, people want to know who just like are impulsive buyers who just want to like see it and buy it. Our ticket's a bit higher for them, so they're not going to do it. We also don't have a buy now. You have to do the brand call. But there are some people who want to go really deep on it. If they've got to approve it, basically if the stakes are quite high, and maybe it's just a founder or it's like a small amount of people, they're going to want to know everything and get really detailed on the process. So we tried to build that into the sales cycle so that they get this ahead of time before we have to close the deal. So top line, this is how we do it. We do an analysis, then we do a director workshop. We out of that director workshop, we essentially plot the whole thing. We send them a sprint report, which has got a sprint print in, which is that 1-pager where we've done their offer, we've done their positioning, we've done their words, we've done what they're going to do here, over there. We basically kind of plotted what we're going to do, and everyone's sort of agreed that's how we make it possible. Then we have the create a speed run, which is the rest of it, and then we build out the accelerator handbook and all the deliverables that come with that and the outcomes, and then handovers after that meeting. So I won't bore you, but we break everything down. Oh, that's jumping around a bit. Need to sort that out. Fantastic. But we found that helpful, having it maybe not on the website, but having it as a thing that you can send. Good bit of fun that. Steal that if you want. So I think I've covered everything. I'm going to tag everybody in Twitter. If you enjoyed that, give it a share, give it a like. It's got darker in here. Terrible skin. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I enjoyed this, and that's what matters.